Cool. So in this video, well, welcome to the integrated masculine, where we, let's see, open, unlock the door that leads to a divine world of infinite possibilities. Beautiful. All right. In this video, I want to go over, this is page 10 in my book, Top 5 Regrets of Dying People. So this is, if you haven't heard about it, a nurse, a palliative nurse. So what she did was she took care of dying people, generally in the last 12 weeks of their lives, and she basically asked them uh, what were their biggest regrets in life. And she later turned this into a book because her article was so popular, which I've never read. I just saw the article. And so the top 5 regrets that showed up was I'll start I'll say the first one last because that's the one that resonates with me the most. One is that uh, her patients wish they didn't work so hard. Um, and this was from this was a previous generation. Obviously, if they were all in the last 12 weeks of their lives, where men were basically the main breadwinners, and so among men there was a lot of wishing that they didn't work so hard, and with that, kind of spending more time with family and hobbies and all that stuff. Wishing they had the courage to express how they felt, wishing they'd stayed in touch with their friends. So many lost touch with friends over the years. And lastly, wishing they'd let themselves be happier. So kind of realizing that ultimately happiness is a choice, that we're defined by our decisions, not necessarily our conditions, and that suffering, kind of as I talk about in what spirituality means to me. This is theoretically. I'm not an enlightened being, but the goal is eliminating suffering from our lives because we understand that suffering is detaching from the present and not accepting reality as it is, and that's when we create our own suffering. But the one that really hit home for me, and I think I read this article like 5 years ago, maybe longer. And the one that hit home for me was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. And so for this one, again, this is from previous generations where, maybe community ties were a bit more rigid, familial expectations were a bit stronger. People probably were not as open-minded as people now. And of course, it's still a trend, and we're still working. But many people kind of did things that others told them to do, and didn't follow their heart, didn't live a life true to themselves. And so that ended up becoming uh, one of my motivating factors factors in wanting to pursue a life that's true to myself, even if it doesn't look like the typical life or path, let's say. I get that I'm lucky. I have parents who don't fully accept what I do, but you know, support my choices, emotionally, at times financially as well, mentally. So I can't say that this is all on me, but I guess nothing in life is really all on ourselves. We're all connected far more to others than we are often aware. But it is, let's say, one factor in getting me to do what I do. And Steve Jobs has this quote too about how almost everything, external expectations, pride, fear of embarrassment, or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way he knows how to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked, you're already vulnerable. There's no reason not to follow your heart. And so Um, I wanted to speak about this immediately after the death letter exercise. I read that and worked on that as part of my men's group that I'm in, because it also kind of forces us to contemplate death and to reflect on our life thus far, to integrate those lessons and hopefully make some changes going forward. So I hope this was helpful to anyone. I tend to assume that people have heard of this before, but I guess the feedback is that that's not true. So I'm glad to share. I hope someone finds this valuable. And again, uh, if you the link to the integrated masculine, my book, is in the description below. So I hope you guys all have a good day and do you. Peace.